Well, welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends, and it will do today. I have no intention. I haven't got any long topics to discuss.
Oh, thank goodness.
Little things sort of written out to come up, but there aren't any big topics like things like how long will Solskjaer keep his job and that sort of thing. I'm sure we won't get to those sort of things. And what is success for Conte at Spurs? Will we discuss that? Well, who knows? What we will discuss, though, I was going to say about another album for people to have a listen to. I said mostly autumn last week. Well, I'm going to just say the best thing in my life happened yesterday. No, it wasn't. That's right. You'd think it was Kieran's birth, wouldn't you? But no, it wasn't. My favourite group ever, Porcupine Tree, are going on tour. Haven't seen them for 12 years. Stephen Wilson, the guy up front, the guy that writes the stuff, they're going on tour. And you know, I'd heard a rumour and I was tapping around on my little machine yesterday morning and up popped in YouTube, glad I got a ticket to Paris. And I quickly run down here about 7 o'clock in the morning yesterday. I discovered the tickets were selling and nobody knew that it was happening. And I quickly, and I got me and your mother tickets to Wembley. How about that? How was that for luck?
What have you got mum tickets for?
Oh, well, you know, I don't know. She wanted to go. Some poor, sad person who's been waiting all these years.
Yeah.
So that's one Wickham Wanderers plus. That's one plus. And the other plus was alcohol, wasn't it? Well, first of all, wine. Love wine. This is East Australian cheapo from Aldi. Love it. But Kieran is coming home to the dentist during the week. And one of the places that we go, that pub, is selling something. And I had some of this the other day, and it is lovely. It's Duda's Ton Cider. And it is a salted caramel cider. And you can taste the caramel and that little bit of salt left in your mouth. It is lovely. Absolutely lovely. And if you're fussed about health, it is gluten-free, which means you can have more, doesn't it?
Not quite. No.
Well, it's not been the best weekend for Wickham or Liverpool.
When I get to advertise a decent beverage or something.
Yeah, go on then. Go on. This is Wickham Wanderers Plus. We start with the plus. Go on then.
What did I have yesterday? I had.
I had. You wouldn't believe he's still in education, would you?
I don't do English though, do I? I do sports science. I'm not supposed to talk properly.
Okay.
I had a Jaeger bomb, and that was quite good.
I've never heard of that.
That's mixing Jaeger and Red Bull. It was lovely.
What's Jaeger?
You don't know what Jägermeister is?
No.
Do you not?
No.
You didn't go to university, did you?
Kieran, how old are you? 20. I've left school 5 years before you.
Yeah.
At the moment, I've left at 15, mate. Now, we're talking about all the healthy drinks you can get, you know. I mean, yeah, fruit, cider, all that sort of stuff, yeah, and grape and different things. Well, we're going to discuss just frazzle Forest Green Rovers. Now, that is an interesting little topic for you.
Is it?
But the first thing we start with is it's Kieran's quiz time.
This will enlighten everyone's lives.
It will, because we've got the second half of your Champions League 2018-19. Okay. Of
Right.
course, they might not be making it to the Champions League this year. Hey, as in
It's
next
fine.
year.
We'll win it. It's fine, and then we'll qualify automatically.
Yeah.
We ain't winning the league,
Because
so
it looks like West Ham might be pipping Liverpool to the post. But anyway,
they'll pip Manchester United as opposed to Liverpool. But yeah.
Okay. Who did Liverpool beat in the final? Juventus, AC Milan, Tottenham.
Well, Spurs. Come on, lads. If this is the difficulty of the questions, you're really underestimating my ability.
Okay, what was the score?
2-0. It was 2-0,
right.
fella.
Yeah, sorry, I got confused there. Who scored the first goal?
Salah.
Yeah. With a
Origi
penalty
scored the second.
in
If that's the next
second
question.
minute of the game. How many of the starting 11 were English?
Trent, Henderson, 2.
You're correct, 2. And how many of the start? Oh no, we just did that one. Who was the captain who lifted the trophy? Oh, that's a bit obvious.
Flipping heck, fella. Come on. Henderson.
Yeah. Well, they were all easy, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah. But of course, next week we move on to the European Cup 83-84.
Oh, good.
So
I have to brush up on that.
You will have to brush up on that. So we're going backwards. So you'll have to put a bit of effort into that one, mate. Okay. So there were your easy 5. Now we come up to the fun 5. And that is, who is, talking of which, where you are, who is Portsmouth's all-time leading goal scorer in the Premier League?
Just trying to think of strikers they've had. They've had Defoe. They've had Crouch. I'm not sure they were there long enough to be top scorers. Actually, I'll say, we'll say Defoe.
No. No. Yakubu.
Really? For Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there you go. So, which 3 Premier League clubs did Patrick Berger make appearances for?
Well, these questions are a bit more difficult, aren't they? Gee. Well, Liverpool, Leeds, and Blackburn.
No. Liverpool, Portsmouth, and Aston Villa.
No.
Oh, you're falling apart now, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Which Premier League club did Pierre Van? Oh my lord, Huge Donk play for? Is that right? HOOIJDONK.
Pierre who?
Donk. Who Donk? You haven't got a chance.
Pierre. I have no idea who you've just said.
Well, that's Nottingham Forest. So you don't.
I wouldn't have got it anyway.
No, I know you wouldn't. Which 2 Premier League clubs did Georgian International Georgie Kinclads play for?
Have you just gone from those bottom of the barrel questions to the hardest questions you could find?
Yeah. I felt we needed. Yeah.
What was his name again?
I thought you'd ask that. Kinclads, is it? Kinclads? It's Kin, Kladze.
Not a clue. We'll go Norwich and Bolton.
Nearly City and Derby. And last but not least, because you've done awful.
Oh, yeah,
Kieran.
I do apologise.
Awful. Which player is Southampton's all-time leading goal scorer in the Premier League?
Letitia.
Yeah, with 4 midfielders. So you got 6, mate.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
great.
More than you would have got.
I can't even read them, let alone answer
No.
them. Okay. Well, did anybody out there beat 6?
Like a bird.
That's the question. Don't know.
Probably not.
Tell us if you got more than 6. Kieran's quiz time.
It's clear to see from up here.
Okay. A few things to discuss. Right. First of all, we're going to get on to the manager's sack race. How many managers have been sacked this week, do you think, Kieran?
This week?
Yeah.
In the Premier League or in total?
No, in total.
I'll go 5.
No, 7.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah. We've had Nuno from Spurs.
Yeah.
We've had Marcus Schopp from Barnsley, Neil Cox from Scunthorpe, Dave Chandler from Hartlepool, Neil Warnock from Middlesbrough. He's gone again.
Yeah.
Daniel Farke from Norwich and Dean Smith from Aston Villa.
That one's very harsh, isn't it? I feel. I can understand why, but it's like they've just had 5 games where they've lost all of them. But give the bloke a chance.
Not enough, is it? It's not enough.
I mean, Carragher was saying on Sky Sports, it used to be that managers got sacked if it was all really going pear-shaped and you'd lose like 8 or 9 in a row. Now you can get done for half that, and if there's like someone that they're looking at as well who they think would do a better job. Like it seems like these teams are always on the lookout for a new manager, even if they've already got one that they're kind of happy with.
Well,
apparently,
I don't get it.
Apparently, United are speaking to managers every other week.
What I don't get is they won't get a better one. They'll just get another one that comes in for a year and then bogs up and gets sacked again. I don't understand. Bielsa, for instance, they were talking about Leeds and how long. I mean, they're not doing great. They drew again. And how long has he got to turn it round? Well, Leeds must know they'll never get a better manager. Okay? They won't. But he only ever stays in the job for 3 years and he's gone. And that's usually his choice. But what happens is he goes in, he turns it round, it's a great success, and then slowly it starts going downhill again. But that's the same almost with every team. Rarely does a manager walk in and keep it going unless you've got the cash to do so. Because you can't, it seems that, for instance, Moyes today.
Yeah.
And I've got written down, somebody said about West Ham and will they keep it up? Well, for how long will they keep it up? 1 year? This season? Or 2 years? Do you think they'll do it for 2 seasons? Look at Leicester. 3 seasons? What is successful for West Ham? And what is successful for Manchester City? How do you judge whether we're talking about Dean Smith? Has he been successful?
I mean, I'd imagine his job in the beginning was to get Aston Villa promoted, which he did, to keep them up, which he did by the skin of his teeth, to then progress on that, which he definitely did, by getting them to what, 7th or 8th last season. And then maybe he's been let down a little bit by the fact that he's had to get rid of Grealish and bring in all of these players who, on paper, look as if they'd fit in a team. It hasn't quite worked like that, but I think the board should have been a little bit more patient with him and realise it's not going to just click together straight away, because there's a reason Grealish went for 100 million and not 20.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I don't know whether they're still expecting to build upon what they did last season and come 5th or 6th, and especially in the Premier League now. Like, that top of the table is stacked. Like, flipping heck, at one point today, Arsenal were in 3rd. Like, flipping heck, how has that been allowed to happen? They've won as many games as Liverpool this season, by the way, which is just embarrassing. But yeah, because that's the thing for Spurs as well. Like, as much as everyone's raving about Conte coming in, I don't think it makes a blind bit of difference.
I was going to ask you that. You see, that was one of the questions. What is success for Conte at Spurs? But that sort of question can be asked of every manager. What were they expecting from Dean Smith? I mean, surely, okay, come in 8th or 9th or whatever he did last year. I can't quite remember. Staying in the Premier League is surely the only thing that they can expect him to do. There is. I mean, what else do they expect Aston Villa to do? I mean, read the teams that you would expect. Underline the chances of him actually getting above with that Aston Villa team. He wouldn't not expected Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, Tottenham, Leicester,
Everton.
So where do they expect him to come? What is successful? Surely they only came up a couple of years ago. Surely not being in that bottom 3 is successful. At the moment, he's 16th. Okay, so he's only 2 points above Burnley in that bottom 3, but he's been a bit unlucky. I could look up the figures for you, and it would prove that he has been a little bit unlucky. Brentford are wobbling, Leicester are wobbling, Watford certainly are, Leeds are. All those teams at the bottom. Aston Villa can be.
It's like, by all means, of course, they've been on a bad run of form, but it hasn't been that long of a bad run of form. For example, I mean, it's probably quite a crap example. It's probably not relevant whatsoever. However, if you were to have not that many kids come to the youth club for about 4 or 5 weeks in a row, you wouldn't get sacked. You'd try and do something about it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd have the chance to turn it around. Not that you would need the chance to turn it around, but you try and make it work in some way, in one way or another. And therefore, just thinking, we've lost 5 games in a row. What are the list of things we can do to sort this out? And their impression is that sack the manager is number 1. It's just a bit sad.
It's ridiculous, and it's going to cost them money that they should have spent on players.
Like, it's going to be really interesting to see who Aston Villa get. Like, because I can't think of many managers out there who is actually going to do a better job.
Well, look at I mean, in the end, they're going to look at the ones that have been sacked recently, aren't they?
Yeah.
And name a name.
Daniel Farker. I wouldn't even be surprised if he went to Villa. I would not be surprised.
Neil Warnock?
Yeah.
Or what's the other one that went? Steve Bruce.
He was at Aston Villa recently as well.
I mean, really? I mean, doesn't it get tiresome, this bloody roundabout of managers?
Nuno. They might go for Nuno.
Oh, they can't, surely.
Why not? Go get someone.
I just don't get it. I do not understand it. And you're right. And on this topic, talking of which, Conte, what do they think would be successful for him? I mean, they just sacked Nuno, Tottenham are ninth.
I mean,
So he's
The
got to be
Spurs-
better than ninth,
yeah.
be in a better position than ninth, yeah?
Well, considering they've given him an 18th-month contract, it's suggesting that they're giving him 6 months to reinvent the team and build a team next summer, and then it's almost like he has to get top 4 the season after, otherwise he's gone. You don't just give a manager an 18-month contract, do you? Like, that's especially one of the quality of Conte. And so if he doesn't do that, then I imagine he's gone. And I don't think Spurs' team is that overly fantastic anyway.
I don't
know. If you look at their back 4 and the names that are in it, it's not great. Like, they still have Dyer and Sanchez as their 2 centre backs. Compare that to the rest of the top 4, and actually it's probably on par with Man United. But apart from them, it's nowhere near good enough. They're wanting him to get top 4, and as I said, I don't think.
I think they're dreaming.
They've got to think very long term. I don't think Conte wants to think long term, to be honest with you, because I don't know, you saw a stat. Conte has won, I think, 9 of the last 10 leagues that he's been in, and as a manager, you'd want to keep that record up in one way or another. And it's going to take at least 3 years for Spurs to do that, and he's not going to stay around for that, is he?
Well, it was only.
But then he signed up for the job, so I don't know.
It was only 10 games ago he wouldn't go there. What made him change his mind?
Just wanted the holiday. Maybe.
I understand why he's gone there. I think he must be mad. Other managers, we do have to discuss Solskjaer. Okay, I laugh at him. The truth is, this is the way it works with him. They had, and you can't help but say, a decent manager in Ferguson. Never had great success since. They needed to stabilize the boat. Yeah, it was sinking. They needed to bring it back up to float, and so, or we could go. Yeah, we.
Well done.
And they did so by bringing him along for a couple of years. Everybody felt good. The crowd felt good. The team felt good. They weren't going to win anything under him, but he put it back on a sort of feeling okay about itself. Time for him to leave, bring in somebody then to take it to the next step. They didn't. They gave him a new contract, 3 years, just a little while ago. Now they're going to sink it again when they sack him. They should have. We're talking about sacking managers. Maybe this does bringing in previous players from that club to make everybody happy. Does it work? It didn't with Lampard and Chelsea, or it did to start with. All the crowd were happy for 6 months, but he didn't have the skill. And is Solskjaer exactly the same? They've brought in to make it feel better, but he hasn't got the skill.
Pretty much.
He did a good job to start with.
Yeah, and I think United were being very unrealistic with what their expectations were of where they thought he could take the team, unless they just don't really care about where United's end up, and in which case they're happy for United to come top 4 and that's about it. But if he's not going to be a title-winning manager, I don't think it's because we're we're talking on the podcast, and I feel like I want to say something rather intelligent because people are listening to this, and it's supposed to be somewhat intuitive.
Why
But
start now?
But everyone can see that Solskjaer is not going to win the league with that team. And it's not difficult to see that. It's really not.
I mean, Wickham lucky. We brought in a Wickham player.
Oh, so lucky.
I mean, that was luck, wasn't it? Wickham were taking a gamble.
The only times this works, really, are, you could say Wickham. Zidane, Real Madrid, going way back, probably Dalglish at Liverpool, when he won a few league titles and Champions Leagues and that. But it doesn't work that often. Like, Paul Scholes has been a manager of a number of teams, and he's always been very crap. You have to, like, people assume that footballers are going to be managers, and it's not quite how it works.
It isn't, is it?
Actually, that's the thing for the Aston Villa job, is that John Terry has been heavily linked with it. I don't think he'd be very good.
No.
Personally.
No, but
I think people do expect too much of managers, quite honestly. At the end of the day, like, football is a game where one team wins and one team loses. There's me with the intelligent comments
we know about 40% is the win rate.
It's not.
Club.
It doesn't sound very high, does it? And therefore, you're not gonna, like, Klopp's or Guardiola's is about 60. That also doesn't sound particularly high.
No, and that's with the money they've got.
That's with the money. That's with the team they have. That's with, like, the trophies they've won, and they've only won 60% of games.
Yeah,
it's not amazing, is it? Or it doesn't sound amazing. Whereas it probably. Well, it is.
It'd be interesting. I haven't looked at what Dean Smith's win rate was with Aston Villa, but I suppose if it all comes in one section, one bit, your 40% wins, as in a run of 5, and then your losses are in 5, then it's. I mean, if it lost 5 over a period of 10 games. And won the other 5, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
It's when you lose all 5 in a row, it's the problem for managers, isn't it? And I loved the Neil Warnock sacking because they said he left by mutual consent. And you'll see that all the time where managers aren't sacked. And they asked Neil Warnock about that, and he said, yeah, they told me I was gone this morning before the game. I didn't agree with it. I thought that was a bit harsh after all the work I'd done. But in the end, you know how it works. They told me I was leaving. And so he wasn't sacked, but he was asked to leave. And so he made it quite clear. It wasn't, he agreed because they told him he was going and handed him a fortune. But how ridiculous. What about Eddie Howe going to Newcastle then? First of all, I have to say he didn't question his morals, did he? Or did he?
Who knows?
Who knows? He's rich now.
I hope Newcastle have been clear of him, and he's been clear of himself about what he's expected to do at that club, because I'm assuming, expects to take them a certain distance. For one, keep them up this season.
Do you think it's going to be expected to keep them up?
Of course he is. Right. And
they haven't won a game yet. They're the only team that haven't won a game yet.
But then he's also expected to progress with what I'd imagine is January and summer signings to get Newcastle to about 7th or 8th. But then if they do end up getting a team or a group of players that could challenge for top 4, I hope that he knows and Newcastle know that the chances of that happening are very slim. So I don't think Eddie Howe is that good enough a manager to be able to do that. And so when it gets to that point of the time he needs to leave, like, it's hopefully it'll be a much clearer situation than it was with Steve Bruce or anyone else.
What is Eddie Howe good at? He was good at getting a small club up into the Premier League. He was good at holding a crap team up in the Premier League till eventually working on percent. He had to go down. I mean, they had to, but he kept him up longer than maybe, so he did
someone
a good
else would have
job
done.
holding them up there. And he is expected to hold Newcastle up there until the point of where they want to start winning trophies, in which case it's time for him to leave.
Essentially.
And does he know that?
I think they would have told him, we'll give you the chance, but I don't think they'll have the intention of keeping him too long.
No. Interesting that Al Emery said no.
Why would he say yes, quite honestly?
Well, probably good for Newcastle as well. He said no, to be blunt about it, from what I remember about him. Okay, there's our manager. Let's pull them apart moment. And, well, in fact, it wasn't. We were actually feeling a little bit sorry for them all being given about £10 million to say goodbye. And here's the next little bit is what happened on this day. Here's a couple, okay? Football on this day, on the 6th of November, 1965. Goalkeepers are used to having things thrown at them, but Brentford keeper, his surname Brodie, was a tad surprised at what was directed at him when playing against Millwall in a third division fixture at Griffin Park, a hand grenade. He calmly threw it into the back of the net and got on with the game. Lucky it was a dud, but he didn't know that. You listening?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
These are normally bits I normally switch off, to be honest with you, because you talk about stuff from the 1950s, and that wasn't about then.
Right. Here's one, 2015, and you were around. On the 7th of November, which for you lot it was yesterday or whenever you're listening, in one of those strange quirks of the fixture list, Premier League new boys, Bournemouth, the most southerly side who had ever played in the Premier League, entertained Newcastle, the most northerly side ever to play in the PL. On the same day at Carrow Road, Norwich, the most easterly club to have played in the PL, played Swansea City, you've guessed it, the most westerly side ever to play in the Premier League. There were 1-0 victories for both Newcastle and Norwich. Yes, do we remember? I mean, what are the chances of Newcastle and Norwich both winning on the same day? I would say that's probably more incredible than the actual idea of north, south, east and west. But there you go. And the last one, I had to add this. On the 8th of November, 1986, how old was I? 23, right, okay. The date of Alex Bergson's first match as manager of Manchester United. Is it really? It didn't prove to be the best of starts with a 2-0 First Division defeat at the Manor Ground, home of Oxford. I think that the smartest person that day was the fan who got hold of Fergie's team sheet for the match. In June 2013, he sold it at an auction for £19,000. And all it was a piece of paper with team sheet written on the top with his writing of the 11. And he sold that for £19,000.
Never understand why that sort of thing goes for that sort of money.
I actually saw one of the first games I saw was watching Manchester United lose at Oxford, funnily enough. I can't remember how old I was. Somebody took me to Oxford. He was an Oxford fan. boo. And we saw Oxford beat Manchester United 1-0 in the what was then the second division when they came down for 1 year. So I did have the joy of watching United lose, although I was at the Oxford end. How embarrassing is that? Did you know Oxford are on the move?
Oh,
Yes. They don't own that ground. They rent it. And they don't want to stay there.
I wonder why.
But it looks like they might be building a new ground for themselves. Now, how's that for very odd? What are the people who own it going to do with it?
Knock it down.
I mean, there was an Oxford fan talking about this, saying how dead it feels inside. And having been to a few games there, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid I think that's just Oxford. I don't think it's got anything to do with the ground. Moving on. Here's a question for you. Why do you think there are 11 players on the football pitch? I don't have the answer.
Gosh.
I have an idea of the answer. Why 11? Nobody is 100% sure. This is what the conclusion is.
I'd reckon it'd be you'd have one goalkeeper, 5 defenders, and 5 attackers. That's how originally it would have been.
Okay. Well, in 1897, is this the bit where you go to sleep? The rule of 11 players came in. Before then, there was no rule as to how many people were playing. It depended, on which village was playing which village, etc., etc. But in 1897, they came up with 11 each. And they think because cricket had 11 players on each team and that they played in the summer, it was the cricket team playing football in the winter. So there would always be, it's going to be 11. It was the one cricket team against another playing football.
So why did cricket have 11?
I don't know.
Need to keep going back.
Okay. Here's the next one. See, I've got loads of these bits and then we'll start talking about Wickham, okay? The D. Do you know why the D exists on a football pitch?
No.
Do you know what it's for?
No.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
You're going to learn something. You're going to learn something, okay? Well, originally, to start with, football didn't even have lines round it. And then once upon a time, again in 1891, before we had 11 players, they put a line down the middle with a little circle in the middle. And then slowly they started coming up with things. And then they put an 18-yard dotted line away from the goals with a 12-yard straight line behind the dotted lines, and they had 2 semicircles in front of the goal, etc. And they started drawing these lines up. But in 1937, they'd got the 18-yard box. They'd finally come up with the 18-yard box, and they put a D in it. And the reason for it is they'd put the penalty spot on there, and they had to measure 10 yards around that penalty spot. And if you look at it, if you stand in that D, you will be within 10 yards of the penalty spot. So the D, hello, come in.
No.
Come in.
No, Priya, come in.
Come and say hello. Come and say hello. This
is my housemate, everyone. She's always wanted to be on the show. She asks me every week to be on the show.
Come and meet everybody.
Come on.
Come on, take a seat. Take a seat.
She says the only thing I think
sit down.
she'd be able to
You've
talk
got
about.
A chair.
There's no chair here, fella,
right.
Unfortunately.
Okay. I will just answer this.
You. Hang on.
There you go.
Okay. I'll just answer this bit and then you can help us in the next little bit of information, all right?
Oh, God.
So the reason
I imagine she probably wants to get on with her evening, but she just came in to say hello. So here we go.
doesn't look, hey, how could you spend a better moment? The D is there, so you're always at least 10 yards away from the penalty spot. Okay, there's your information. Right. Okay.
Nice.
Here's your question. Okay. When Toure came to Manchester City, he was given a big bit of advice because in Europe he'd played and he always got 10 seconds on the ball. When they moved into playing in the Premier League, he found he only ever got 3 seconds, and he was given a bit of advice that a number of players now use. Sterling, Kante, Kane, Hazard, Messi.
Can I point out that she has no idea what you're on about whatsoever?
Okay.
The only thing she knows about football is Trent.
Right. Well, all these players use a certain part of their body to keep players away. There you go. And
It's their bum, isn't it?
It's their bum. They got trained to use their
That is
bum
why.
to keep
Fans.
players away. And in,
It was like Andy Lance, so the camera can hear it.
and in fact, Toure actually, on advice from his coaches, went into the gym to put muscles in his bum to push footballers away.
Well,
That's what
I
Kieran's
was going to
doing.
say, what do you think we're doing?
Yeah, you do that, do you?
This house is full of massive bums.
Right,
Well, thanks for that. Sees a bit.
So
There you
that's why. So you got the penalty box bit, didn't you?
Yes.
See how that works?
Yeah.
And that's the only reason it's on there, for penalty takers. And the Sterling, Toure, Kante, Kane, Hazard and Messi were all trained to build muscle in their bum to keep players away,
Yeah.
getting near the ball. And you can see it was Sterling, can't you? I mean,
Sterling's
he
bum
walks
is
with
massive,
his
isn't it?
stuck out now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, his bum's pretty special.
But they do train to build muscle in there. So, okay. And last bit of information before we move on to the games over the weekend was Forest Green Rovers. I'll mention them. Do you know that it's appropriate today because we've got all this all the stuff going on in Glasgow about hello?
I'm here. Don't worry. I'm just sorting some stuff out.
Because of all the stuff going on at Glasgow at the moment regarding, all the trees and the water and the plastic, Forest Green Rovers actually use electric coaches to go to their away games. And when asked, well, doesn't that take a while because they have to redo them up, they're not going to get very far, the guy said absolutely it does, but hey, so it takes longer. They are vegan, they don't eat meat at their grounds. Anybody that turns up at the ground for a meal for whatever reason will not get any beef. You don't get plastic bottles at the grounds. They're careful with the electricity, blah, 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 blah.
Is that only because of their name?
No, it's because of the owner.
No, fair enough.
The owner I was going to say gone overboard, but in fact that's wrong, gone the right direction. And an awful lot of football teams could actually learn something from. But I thought it was amazing. I don't know what he'd do if they had an away game in a foreign country. I don't know, swim I, I think he'd have to take a plane then, wouldn't he?
I think you'd be forced to, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but
Electric planes should be fun though when that happens, wouldn't it?
yeah, absolutely. But
Can't wait for those crashes.
well, you go by balloon, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose.
See you see the 20 England balloons going over to play whoever, you know. Bummer if you draw Australia, of course. Okay, that's all my funny, interesting, uninteresting, what have you. Wickham, where do we start? I missed the Ipswich game. The person I lent my ticket to said he thoroughly enjoyed the game, thought it was a brilliant game. But it's not good, is it?
No. I mean, hopefully it's just one of those games in which nothing really came together quite how it should. I mean, obviously going off the highlights as I normally do, Stockdale was poor for a few of the goals.
He did look poor.
I saw a lot of people say that Gape wasn't very good. And then that's all I can really say about it, really. There was not entirely sure. Ipswich are on the rise, and they will get into that playoff kind of area. So it's just a bit of a shame we didn't play them earlier.
Trouble is that what that kills is our
home record.
Our home record, and once beaten, it makes it difficult to get. I mean, if you're on a run, it's almost easier to keep the run going, isn't it?
Yeah.
And once it's broken, it's broken. Hey, Liverpool away games.
Or just games in general, actually.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I wish we'd played Ipswich when we should have done earlier when they were losing. I think they're going to take their spot, aren't they?
They should do anyway, shouldn't they? It was just a bit of a shame. Again, I mean, we spoke about this the other day, but Mehmeti again barely used.
He didn't even play in the FA Cup.
No, and it's just like you feel like
what?
It's not something you want to linger over the club and over the players' heads, over the fans' heads. It's not like he is like fully our best player. It's not quite that, but he's a player who should be starting like 1 out of 2 games, and so you're kind of like, if he's only played I don't know how many minutes this season, barely any, then it's just a bit. It just seems a bit of a waste in being there. And obviously we were discussing how we thought it was going to be really difficult to keep him in the summer. And don't know. I mean, it looks like he could move on for even less than we could have got in the summer. Because, I mean, clubs will come in and think, oh, this is just a player who's sat on the bench and not doing anything. We can buy him on the cheap.
Yeah. Well, he's going to want to go, isn't he?
Well, I would have thought so, because he wouldn't be happy lingering around in League One on the bench, would he? When he's like scored goals and created chances in the Championship at a pretty good level. So he would want to move on.
I don't understand it. I do not understand this. Did we say this last week that it is either something that cannot be dealt with?
No.
Or it can be dealt with and he should be in the team. And that only leaves one answer, doesn't it? Because Wickham are suffering without him, you'd say? I think so.
Creatively, I would have argued, yeah. Then maybe part of it is, I think last season we were a little bit less of that kind of Jacobson long ball up to the striker. I think we're a bit more of that this season, and maybe it suited him a little bit better last season. But then that's not a reason for him not to play at all. But it just seems stupid having him on the bench and then not using him. When if you're behind and you're needing that bit of creative spark, it just seems very strange.
It does. It does.
I don't know why football teams don't just be clear about it. Because I likened it to Ozil at Arsenal. It's pretty much exactly the same. I mean, no one has ever had a clue what was going on there, and we're not going to clue what's going on here. But it's just easier if the fans know and the club knows and the player knows. Like, the problem with that, I suppose, is that it could be something that the player's done that would mean that the fans kind of turn on him and
But this turned up after he was sent off, didn't it? He never came back.
No. It's like getting sent off can't be the reason.
No.
Flipping heck.
No.
Like everyone does at some point. So it is strange.
What I thought was interesting also, I mean, say well done Ipswich, was the game on Saturday. We were playing Hartlepool. Now, I don't know whether you noticed, but one of the managers sacked during the week was Dave Challoner from Hartlepool. So they were sat there without a manager. Okay.
Mm.
And I was looking about, reasons to. I thought sacking Farke after he finally won a game, I thought was a bit of a laugh. And he's been trying to win a game for so long, and he finally does it and gets the sack. I thought was really quite entertaining. But this guy, he had a whole spell of not winning a thing from the end of, the end of August, 31st of August, all the way up to mid-October. He'd only won one game. And then he won, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 7. Four out of 6 matches, and he gets sacked, which I thought was really strange. They're sat 11th in the table in Division 2. What did you make of Wickham in that? I mean, we can only judge it by what we see, what we read. Obviously, we weren't there. But what did you make of that? I mean, who the fiddles is Farino Joseph, who scored a goal?
Not a clue. Not a clue. I'm assuming he's one of the academy kind of players.
He's a centre back. We didn't play with our 2 centre backs, did we?
Yeah.
So the fact that lose was incredible, in all honesty.
Mm. I mean, it's one of those games where it's like it's another unnecessary game that everyone's got to play in, isn't it? And that's more the thing. It's you've drawn 2-2 in the first round of the FA Cup, and you have to play a replay. You get another game in which you obviously don't want to play whatsoever. I'm sure that's what Ainsworth.
But he put. I mean, let's look at this. He could have put Mehmeti in there for one of them. He's got Scowen sat there, but he'd want to use him in the normal 11, wouldn't he? He's got Pendlebury in midfield and Parsons in midfield. He's got DeBar up front.
Mm.
He plays Vokes. Why is he playing Vokes?
Yeah.
Why is he playing Jacobson? Because he needs a captain on the pitch, I suppose.
All those players who you've named as being on there, they'd want to show off to the manager as well, so they'd probably play a little bit better. Give their all kind of thing.
Got a chance to put a few players out there, give them a go. We've said before about how good Vokes can actually be. and what good he done. What the fiddles is he doing on the football pitch? Can you imagine if he got injured
Yeah. And yeah.
in this game?
It's almost like as well. I'm not suggesting he did this, but there may have been some of the ones out there who do play in the team regularly in the league. Like, to keep up that level of, I'm not saying the players weren't, giving their all 100%, but to keep up that level of motivation and concentration throughout the whole of the game, if you're normally in the team that starts every week and then you've got to go to Hartlepool and play, you're not going to be quite there 100%, I wouldn't have thought. Whereas these players who've been on the bench and haven't been in the team, this is their moment. This is what they're building up to, because this is their chance to try and get in that first 11.
Well, you've got the League Cup and the FA Cup, and it's shocking. I can't believe I'm sat here saying this, but the FA Cup, does it really matter to Wickham?
No.
Isn't that sad? Where as a team in Division 1, you're talking like that.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's nice to go far in the FA Cup, but it doesn't dictate your season. I mean, we remember the big games that we've gone and seen, and they're all very lovely, etc. But what we associate most with Wickham and, kind of pride ourselves in is where we go in the league and like those promotions that we've had in recent seasons. That's what the be all and end all is.
Well, as far as we know, I mean, there's not an awful lot because obviously Division 1 didn't happen. As far as we know, are we playing Portsmouth on Saturday? Because it hasn't been cancelled yet, has it?
Don't think so.
I know we've got Burton at the weekend, on Tuesday, in some cup thingy. I'm trying to think what that. Oh, look out! Maybe not. It's down for Burton at 7 and Hartlepool at 7:45, and I've got a sneaking suspicion we won't be at both games.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's. Now, what was the Burton game? Oh, it's the EFL Trophy Southern Group C Round 3. Now, if ever there was a game that you're not fussed about, that must have been it. But it looks like that's the Hartlepool game now.
Right.
So that's. But on Saturday, Wickham are still up for playing Portsmouth. It has yet to be cancelled, even though it's the international weekend. The Sunderland-Lincoln game has been, but not Wickham-Portsmouth. So as far as I know, we've got Portsmouth, Kieran. Your sunny resort. How are we going to do?
Resort. I mean, if we don't beat Portsmouth, then flipping heck. Like we have to. It's one of those where you have to. It's like, well, to be honest, it was like Chelsea drawing against Burnley yesterday. It's one of those games at home that you just have to win if you want to go far in your season. I'm not suggesting Chelsea won't. I still think they'll win it. But drawing at home to Burnley was crap. And it would be if we drew against Portsmouth, I think, considering the run they've been on, where they are on the table. It should be a given 3 points, essentially. So hopefully we just don't cock it up.
I mean, looking at this, they drew against Doncaster.
Yeah.
In August. They lost to Wigan. They lost to Wimbledon. Lost to MK Dons. Lost to Cambridge. Drew Plymouth. Drew Charlton. Lost to Burton. And then there was a freak beating Sunderland 4-0. Then they lost to Sutton in the EFL Trophy. They lost to Rotherham, lost to Ipswich, drew against Accrington. They beat Bolton 1-0. They then drew against Cheltenham, and last thing they won was Harrow. We're not worrying about that. So, apart from the beginning of October when they beat Sunderland, they've beaten Bolton 1-0.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back up to the Sunderland, and then before then, way back into the middle of August for a win of 1-0. They're not exactly any good, are
Not
they?
particularly, no.
I mean, they're actually, with that sort of record, it's shocking to find, actually, they're mid-table.
Mm.
And they literally are 5 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses.
Yeah,
Should beat
and
'em.
4 of those wins were at the beginning of the season, effectively. So no reason not to win, is there really?
Okay. How long we been going for, Kieran? Any idea?
An hour.
Okay. With that, we're going to finish with any games in the Premier League you want to discuss.
Not really.
No, God.
But we'll discuss it anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you want I'll start because I know you'll have opinions.
I will.
My opinion is there were a number of points that made the difference. I thought Mr. Goalkeeper.
Too weak.
I
Should
thought,
have done better with all 3.
yeah, was it a free kick, their first goal? I didn't see anything that a West Ham player did that was particularly wrong.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen it yet, but what Klopp says, which you can take with a pinch of salt, is that the West Ham player moves the keeper's arm.
Yes,
which means it makes it pretty much impossible to catch it cleanly.
He was standing next to him. He didn't go for Mr. Keeper. He jumped for the ball. The goalkeeper jumped for the ball. They were standing that tight.
Yeah. And I think that's just a tactic in football you can use to put the keeper under pressure.
Yeah. I could see it being a free kick, and I could see it not being a free kick. Take it, one or the other. I think it's difficult to call one or the other. In the end, I think you should go for the attack. Therefore, I would say it was a goal. Okay. On a number of other points, there was the Creswell tackle on Henderson, worth a look.
Yeah.
That was a sending off.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that was dangerous play. Could have broken his leg. That was a sending off.
I don't know how he manages to get his left leg that high onto Henderson's knee when the ball was over there.
Yeah.
It seems a bit peculiar.
And as for the free kick that Liverpool scored from, was it a free kick? Was it even was it a foul to produce a free kick? They were arguing. Again, I would say, I don't know. It was one of those. Did it slow it right down and you see defender foot come out first, Salah go over the top. Therefore, the defender didn't take Salah's leg away, but he put it in his way, very, very close and at normal speed. Again, it's one of those, and I would say, don't know. And for that reason, I would say West Ham got the goal, give Liverpool the free kick.
I think West Ham deserved it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They looked defensively very sound. And
I think 3-2 was the right score.
Near enough, yeah. I pretty much agree with all the big talking points you had just then. I think one of the things I was noticing during the game, though, was the team either, or a bit of both, needs a bit of a shake-up and also needs people in there to put pressure on people's places. So the one that was in my head was Robertson. Robertson this season has not been what he has in the past. But Tsimikas, when he's played in the Champions League and different cup matches, and I think one league match at the beginning of the season, has always been very good. And I think I don't like when managers do this particularly, but to kind of assert his kind of dominance and suggest to the players that they're not going to play week in, week out, I think playing Tsimikas over Robertson, just based on form and based on how well they're playing, I think he probably should do that.
I think what Liverpool needed, do you remember? I remember when you came on, when you started a game and you completely wiped a player out off the pitch to show him who was boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liverpool need to do that sometimes. They
the second goal
wanted free kicks, and whereas West Ham, they were on there to win that bloody game, and they were going to win the ball, and they were going to win everything. They went on there like an army.
Yeah.
Liverpool went on there to kick the ball around.
That second goal that West Ham scored, in which Bowen was able to kind of waltz through, as much as it was a good run from him, it's one of those where we need to be mean and angry and vicious and just take him out.
Yeah,
I get the yellow cards. Like we never do that. We don't do that whatsoever.
I said
it's not a very good thing to say, but
I literally said something like, somebody should have taken him out, and it was them. They should have taken him out.
Yeah, because it was pretty clear what was going to happen if they didn't do that, and if they didn't get a foot in. So that's another thing that I think needs to be somewhat addressed.
That's where Curtis Jones comes into play.
Yeah,
he was
something like that. Yeah, I think the midfield is an area in which it needs to shake up this summer. The thing that annoyed me the most about that game, Thiago, when he came on, I can pass better, and I'm crap. He wants to make every pass look. He wants to.
I wonder what I call these things each week. I can pass better, and I'm crap. Okay,
yeah,
that's what I'm going to call this week's. I can pass better, but I'm crap.
Like, he wants to make it looked as if he wants to make every pass look special and amazing. He has this sort of way in which he passes the ball, which is completely different to everyone else. He kind of swipes at it, which for one gives the ball a bit more air and puts it in the air when it really does not need to be, and it just didn't need to make it so difficult for everyone else. He really annoyed me when he come on. And it has kind of annoyed me since he's been here, because we were led to believe he was supposed to be this magician that would unlock defenses, and it really hasn't been that. There was a number of things in that game that just kind of annoyed me. It's 1 week we're amazing and one of the best teams on the planet. The next week we put in a performance like that, and it just goes all tits up, and you're like, I don't know.
Well,
we're lucky that Chelsea drew a Burnley this weekend. Otherwise, I would have said the title is Chelsea's.
Yeah, and quickly whipping through City United. Anything worth saying in that?
People said it was a worse performance than the one against Liverpool.
Yeah,
and that's telling you something, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was shocking.
Their two goals were so bad.
The question was, why did City not score more? And that is because they did play a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
And they didn't, did they, against Liverpool? It was a 4-2-4, as good as against Liverpool.
Yeah, yeah.
And so all he did was slow the amount of goals down by sticking an extra player in there. And that was the only reason. It wasn't because they played any better or anything like that. It's just there was one more person that they had to take the ball around first before scoring. It gave them less time to score so many. That's my theory. Norwich winning against Brentford. Oh no! I don't want that. I want Brentford to stay up.
I think they will be fine. It was quite funny, actually. I think the penalty was obviously a penalty. That is what it is. The other goal, I think, was Tony's fault. Actually, his clearance for their goal was really poor, and then it kind of lets the player waltz through when, if he just positions himself correctly, then he wouldn't have done so. It's a very poor loss, isn't it? You're at home to Norwich. You have to win those. You have to.
Yeah.
If you want to stay up.
That's a 3-pointer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chelsea, Burnley. Bit odd. I mean, we have to say, I know this may be a little bit unfair, but Lukaku didn't score again.
Was he even playing?
No.
Well, there you go.
So he's only scored one this season. Anyway.
Yeah. Fair.
Don't need him, do they? Or did they? That's what I said last week. They didn't need him. Maybe they did.
They missed a lot of chances, Chelsea. Maybe they should have done.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm surprised you haven't brought up this week the England's right back position, Reece James or Trent, because that's a bit of a trend, isn't it, at the moment? Again, why can't they just have two right backs or something? I don't know.
Oh,
it'd make it a lot easier, wouldn't it?
How many England players don't actually play football anymore?
Well, Harry Kane doesn't. He just runs around on the pitch.
Yeah, we said this last week, didn't we? Ling, what's it?
Lingard.
Yeah, he don't get in any team anymore, and Sterling doesn't play. I mean, the England team are terrific, aren't they? Well, I mean, the only thing you can say is you don't see them playing badly, because I suppose you could say that you don't see them play at all.
No.
I mean, is he gonna try and play? Do you think he'll play Ramsey in goal? Do you think?
Ramsey? Oh, Ramsdale.
Ramsdale. Sorry.
He's been quite good, Ramsdale.
He's been brilliant. Yeah. He won't, though, will he? He'll still Kane captain and all that crap. Play. I mean, why? What's the point of picking why does he even go to watch these games if he's picking players because he's seen them play football? What is the point? Because he's certainly not picking the best, is he?
Do you know what he said about the right back situation? Because he's picked Trent and Reece James for the upcoming ones, and what he said was, "I've picked these two for Albania and San Marino, but I'm sure Trippier will come back when we're playing better teams." And it's like, why are you picking Trippier? Like, in what world? Why?
Bloody hell! If there's a manager needs sacking, it's him.
Oh, I cannot wait for him to go.
I mean, why? Why is Kane in the team? How can he be in the team? Please explain.
Because he's captain. The problem is
a worse striker.
They gave the captaincy to Kane far too early, didn't they? Because when did Kane get it? When he was like 25, 26? That means that you have to keep him as captain for another 7 years. Well, yeah, but Southgate's not going to do that, is he? He's a yes man.
He can't go on that football pitch, can he?
I hope not. I'd rather play Danny Ings, Tammy Abraham.
Anybody.
Yeah. He'll score a penalty though, and he'll be all right.
What's the Crystal Palace striker?
What, Benteke?
Yeah. Is he English? We'll have him.
He's unfortunately not English. He still gets in the Belgian squad though.
Yeah.
Despite how good they are supposed to be.
Brighton. Well, we could mention Crystal Palace beating Wolves. They're doing well, aren't they, Crystal Palace?
Yeah. Gallagher in the field looks very good.
Brighton, Newcastle. Newcastle's still not won a game. The only team not.
But how come they draw against Brighton and Liverpool draw against Brighton? Like, goodness gracious. Football's rubbish.
Arsenal, Watford. We'll come to that in a second. We'll leave that one till last. We got Leeds drawing with Leicester. I think that says more about Leicester than it does about Leeds, actually.
I think Leicester are gradually on their way down, aren't they?
They've had it.
There's also been heavy links between Brendan and Man United, and I'd imagine at the end of the season that's what would happen.
I think Leicester have had it now. We can say goodbye to them.
Yeah, it was nice though. It was nice them getting Europa League.
Yeah, West Ham have taken Leicester's place.
Yeah,
Everton, Tottenham 0-0. Probably not a bad outcome for either, actually, because they're both losers, and neither team lost.
pretty much.
Okay, any Everton, Tottenham fans out there? And Arsenal, Watford. Well, the reason that one has to come up. Did you see Arsenal's goal?
No.
Right. Shall I tell you what happened?
Go for it.
People think Arsenal fouled to get the ball, lost the ball, player injured, Watford player at the back kicked the ball out because Watford player on the ground, and he kicked the ball out for a throw-in about 10 yards away from his own corner flag. Arsenal took the throw-in while player was still on the ground. And
nice.
No, he'd got up by then. That's right, he'd got up by then. But Watford had kicked the ball out because their player was on the ground. But Arsenal didn't give them the ball back.
Oh, it's not very nice.
And after a few passes backwards and forwards, went on and scored. Mr. Old Leicester manager went ape. And Teta afterwards made sort of, well, sorry, they would have done if they'd seen it, blah, 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 which, load of crap, I suppose. My personal opinion is, I know how football goes and they're supposed to give the ball back and all that stuff. Sod it. You cheat every other way you can. You dive in the box. You take it anyway. You'd elbow people if you get the opportunity. So sod it. Arsenal won because of that. Because they played nasty. Watford, of course, and Watford's goalkeeper, what's his name? Foster said we were naive. And when we kicked the ball out, we should have caused a real fuss before they took the throw in to make sure we got the ball back, rather than make a fuss after they score the goal.
Well, that's him showing his experience, isn't it?
And I think that's basically about right. Yeah, they should have given the ball back. They didn't. Bit late now.
Yeah.
You lost the game. Unfair. Football, is it fair? Don't know.
No,
probably not.
Not really.
Most of the time. No, not really. No. So I think that's about it with us. Last but not least, give me your prediction for Wickham versus Portsmouth if it happens. And
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say 2-0 to Wickham. And
we always concede one at the end, don't we?
But are you going to wear your Wickham shirt in Portsmouth?
What if we win?
Anyway.
Yeah, I wear it to the gym like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't been stabbed for it yet, but I mean, if we beat Portsmouth on Saturday, then I might.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a call to make sure you've survived if we win.
Yeah. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. When we talk on Sunday, if we have just a blank thing with no Kieran, we know he got stabbed. Okay. No, that could be another title. So it can be I can pass better, but I'm crap, or no Kieran, there's been a stabbing. No, I better not put that on.
No, I was going to say you probably get some parental guidance stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a bit dodgy.
Okay, Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And from me, goodbye.